Good morning. It's Monday. Monday. I got my coffee, and today's gonna be a little bit different. It's Memorial Day, so I'm out at Troyer's. I got here a minute before they opened. Evidently, so did those people. I came over to get donuts for the family, and they're not opening till 8, and I'm just a minute ahead of that. So I thought I would just take a moment and we'll share a quick thought about Proverbs and have a sip of coffee extra. I don't know about you, but the Bible and coffee go together awfully nice. So the chapter we're in this week is Proverbs 12, and I love verse 11 in that, if you want to go ahead and go find Proverbs 12, verse 11. Yesterday, I posted a real short little boomerang video to Instagram and Facebook of Jay raking some leaves out in the front yard. And that boy, it blesses a daddy's heart when he sees his son work so hard. And he knows how to play and he knows how to have fun. But you know, if you watch that video, when he rakes with his whole body, with complete conviction, because daddy asked him to do a job. And oh man, he's gonna give it all until that's done. And in Proverbs 12 verse 11, it says, now I'm trying to remember because I'm on my phone, so I can't read it real handy. It said, a man that works hard. There's a few different ways it was translated, and I read a bunch of them this morning. A man that works hard will always have plenty of food, but a person that chases fantasies have no sense. And I thought, if you know me personally, I love hard work, and I love bearing down on something, and I love conquering it, and I love this I'm not going to lose attitude. We're going to make this happen. We're going to figure it out. When you're up against a problem and you're up against a challenge, there's this take no prisoner attitude, and it's not just bravado. Like, you're going to get through it. It doesn't matter if it's hot outside. It doesn't matter if you're sweating. It doesn't matter if you don't know if you're strong enough or not. Like, if you're doing physical work, you will. It's all in your head. It really is. You can do so much more. God built us to do so much more than we give ourselves and Him credit for. Most of the time, the reason we don't get through something and we don't have success in our efforts is because we just don't really approach it with that full commitment that I watched my 5-year-old have yesterday when he was raking. Man, from his toes to the freckles on his forehead, this kid was raking with every part of his body. It was so great to watch that. So this morning, as I was reading the chapter 12 in Proverbs, that verse really leapt out at me. And if you read in different translations, it says, when you work hard, you'll have food. The different translations bear that out to be like the cultivation, like an agricultural sense. If you're out tilling your field and turning the soil, and you're following through with that effort from beginning to end. And that's kind of what I want to leave you with today is 2 thoughts. 1, go work, go do hard stuff. Don't wimp out ahead of something, and don't psych yourself out like I'll never get through this. God made you so much better than you will ever think you are, even if you have a pride issue. Now, that's a strong statement to make, but I'm not saying you think more highly of yourself than you ought to. You remember who you are and that God saved you and that you can't do any of that stuff yourself. But you really, the more you honor God's design in humanity, the more you realize that He made us, the great craftsman, the great artist, the greatest engineer that ever was and ever will be, designed you. And yeah, we live in a fallen world, but you are still His design. I am still His design. And when you honor that with humility, it is amazing what does not stand in your way anymore. So, grasp hold of that firmly. And the second thing I want to leave you with that confidence, be strategic about how you apply yourself and where you apply yourself and what efforts you put into what. So in that verse, if you read it in Amplified, it says something along the lines of the guy that's out tilling his field and working the ground. And it takes a whole season. It takes sometimes a lot of seasons to have a fruitful crop. It takes a lot of work, and you have to really follow through with that in the long term. There's nothing worse than working really hard at something and doing a great job at something that really shouldn't have been done at all. So be strategic and use the wisdom of the Proverbs and use the word of the Lord in your life, and avail yourself on the wisdom of others who've been down the road further than you when you consider what you'll do. Because like I said, there's just nothing worse than doing a great job at something that didn't really need to be done at all, or doing something just the right way that was never really the right thing to do. It's heartbreaking because you could have put all the same effort, is how I think. You could have put all the same effort into something that really mattered and was really on target. And instead, oh boy, I totally, you go the wrong direction. But you did a great job doing it the whole time. That's terrible. And that's kind of what the second half of that verse means to me. It's what I pull out of that, the chasing of fantasies. We live in a fantasy-laden world, a fantasy-oriented world. The word fantastic is a great word to use when something's amazing and wonderful and all that. But you know what? Fantastic, like, what's the root of that word? It's fantasy. It doesn't mean that fantastic's a bad word. We're numb to the idea that so much of what we embrace daily is really based in fantasy. We love watching shows on Netflix at home. You know what? They're all fantasy. They're all fiction. They didn't happen. We love them. We unwind. We think some of them are funny. And, we watch lighthearted TV like that. Okay, but it's fantasy. I mean, video games are cool. I never really got into it myself. A lot of guys do. But you know what? Total fantasy. Fantasies have an addictive element to them because it takes no real commitment from us. We don't have any skin in that game, and it's not real. So, I don't know what your field is, but go plow it, go till it, go cultivate it. Go take something on that takes commitment. Do it with strategy, care, and wisdom, but don't back down. God will honor your efforts. When you work with your whole heart as unto the Lord, like it says in his word, he will multiply and he will bless what you're doing. So, on this Memorial Day, reflecting on all of the brave men and women who did just that, and they gave it all, were wounded or maimed, and the families who were affected by that, they didn't back down. So don't either. Live in the real world. Say no to fantasy and say yes to reality. Grab it with both hands and work it. Amen? All right, hopefully they open soon, and I'll go get some donuts. Have a great Monday, everybody. See you.